Hello, ARC family. Welcome to the ARC Journey. I'm outside the studio again today. I am back in Findlay for meetings this week with the University of Findlay, with Weinberger Seminary, trying to catch up, see if maybe we can recruit some students. So that's my week after finishing Grove Manor board meeting today. But I want to take us tonight to Matthew chapter 25. I want to talk about the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I want to talk about what it means to follow him a little bit. In Matthew 25, we see three kingdom parables. And the first parable is the 10 virgins, right? Is the groom, is the virgins show up and they are to escort the groom into his wedding party. And they need oil to last for the entire time. 5 of the virgins are prepared, 5 are unprepared for his late arrival. And so 5 miss going in. The hard thing about this parable is those 5 who were a part of the wedding party, known by the groom, are turned away. The doors closed, and when they show up, the party has begun, and they are not allowed to enter. The second parable is the parable of a manager with 3 employees, and the manager is going away, so he gives a portion of his fortune to those 3 employees. One employee gives 5 talents. To the other one he gives 3, and to the last one he gives 1. They each multiply the first 2 multiply the talents that they've given to them. They've invested it in whatever it is. They invested in the community. They started new businesses. They helped employ people. They helped feed the hungry and the poor, making an economic difference. Something is happening with that money. Except for the last employee. The last employee took and buried that money in the backyard. And so when the manager comes back, he says, "I know you're a hard man." He gives him the coin back and says, "I didn't do anything with it." And what does the manager say? He says, "You're fired," right? "It was not good enough for you to just sit on this. I wanted this to grow and this investment to help other people." And so he is not left into the kingdom. He's fired. And so then we come to the third parable, and it's hard for me to see this as a parable because Jesus says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, reading from verse 31, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. Anthony Zumbo shared this as a devotional with us, and it has been deeply resonating and rolling around in my brain. And so I think that there are some things that I want to talk about this passage. The first is that when he comes back, he's gathering everyone together. There are no nations. There is no distinction between color or race. There are no language barriers. God has called. There's no sex. God has called everyone together before his throne, and that all of the nations will be gathered. We get too caught up in the things of this world, in politics, in the divisions, and all of the crud that is taking place today, and none of it has to do with kingdom. We make it sound like it is, but it's not. And it is keep taking our eye off the prize. Whether we're masked or unmasked, COVID, all this stuff, it's all distraction. The gospel is the focus. The kingdom is the purpose. And believe it or not, this pandemic is going to pass us. It's going to be something in the rearview mirror as it goes by. And as much as we'd like to think that the United States is going to be the kingdom of heaven, it's not. God is going to establish something that is better than this. And so that's our focus. That's my kingdom. That's the investment that we've been asked to make. Okay, so now moving on from that, Jesus, the King, divides the people into 2 groups. sheep on the right and goats on the left. And he says to them, to the goats on the right, he calls them righteous. And he says, you are righteous because the Father saw you. You clothed me when I was naked. You gave me food when I was hungry. You know, he goes through that whole litany of those different things. And he says, because you did that for me, you are righteous. And they all reply to a person. They all reply, we didn't see you. You're confusing us with someone else. We didn't do that. And he replies, the king replies back, no, when you've done that for the least of these, you've done that for me. And then he looks at the goats, the people on his left, all the people that he's divided onto his left. And he says to them, you are not, because you are going to be cast out, because you did not do any of those things for me. And they reply the same way. When did we see you that we could have done any of these things? And Jesus, the king, replies, when you didn't do it for any of these, any of the least of these, you didn't do it for me. And I think the amazing thing is that these people, the sheep on the right, the ones that are that God is considering as righteous, I believe that they've become like his son. When he looks at them, he sees his son. He sees his own heart. He sees his own image in them, because they have been following Jesus and following Jesus so closely, so intimately, that they didn't even realize what they were doing. They didn't know that they were acting and behaving just like Jesus. They were just acting and behaving. We were just doing what we thought we needed to do. And they did not realize that what they were doing was a result of them becoming like Jesus, following him so closely, so deeply, so intimately, that they looked like him. So when God, the king, looks out over them, he sees his son in them and says, welcome home. And to the others, he says, you are cast out. I believe that these sheep and the goats were all believers. I honestly believe that. I think that they were standing before God, all thinking that they ought to be able to get into the kingdom, that this is it. This is the wonderful time. And it is not enough. Jesus's gospel was, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Believe that I am who I say that I am. That praise you, Peter, because what God has revealed, what has been revealed to you has not been revealed by man or by flesh and blood, but by the Spirit. That he is the Son of God, that he has come to die for us on the cross, that his death leads to the forgiveness of sins, that he has resurrected from the dead, that he has ascended to heaven, that he is coming back. Believe it. And I will tell you, that's not the end, because Satan and the demons believe it. They know it. They understand it. I think the difference is when we come to Matthew 25, and that is, are you following? Because that is the last thing that Jesus calls. That's the third part of the gospel message, is repent, believe, and now follow me. You've got to become like me. That's the difference. And that is the gospel. And we have not. Have we been preaching that? Or have we been preaching repent and believe? I think one of the reasons we are so destitute of leaders in our churches is because we have not been preaching, follow Jesus. We've been not letting them know that there are going to be believers standing before the throne of grace, that God is going to say, you are not righteous and you are not going to be coming into heaven. Because it is more than just repent and believe. It is also follow me, become like me. That is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is the gospel that they preached at Pentecost. That is what turned everything on its heels in Acts. That is what captured the heart of a generation and allowed the fire to take hold. And that is what is going to bring the catalyst of renewal and revival in your community. It is repent, believe, and follow. That is what I wanted to share with you today. And God bless. And I will talk to you next week. And hopefully I will be more awake when I'm doing it. Thanks and bye-bye. Good night. Shine. Keep shining.